What's up, guys? Welcome to another edition of K-Cards Baseball. Thanks for joining me tonight on this fine Tuesday evening, wherever you may be. Making this video a day early for Vintage Card Wednesday because I do have plans tomorrow night, but I wanted to get the content out there for you guys that are interested in vintage. So that is why I'm making this video. Tonight we are going to be talking the 1983 Topps, and all the cards that we are going to go through tonight from the 1983 set are going to be mostly Hall of Famers, or what I call Hall of Very Good. Guys that were really great players in their time, but weren't quite necessarily good enough to make it to the Hall of Fame. Might have just came up short, or whatever the case may be. But most of these cards are going to be definitely of Hall of Famers. None of these cards are going to be creased. None of these cards are going to have major flaws on them at all. I would consider the condition of these cards to be in excellent to excellent plus, maybe even some near mint to mint condition. I will talk about the condition of each card as we go through them. There is going to be some centering issues on some of them. That is just what you get with the 1983 set. But overall, not too bad at all. I do have these cards priced to sell for a really great price. All these cards are going to be $1 or less. They will be in a claim auction on the Vintage Baseball card site on Facebook. What a claim auction basically means, if you haven't gone to the Vintage Baseball card site, is that these cards will be displayed in blocks, usually of 9 cards, and for a set price. For example, this first set of cards I'm going to be going through are going to be selling for 50 cents a piece. So you can go on there on the Vintage card site and claim any card that I talk about in this first stack for 50 cents. It is not an auction, so there's no bidding involved. As soon as you claim it, just as long as no one else has claimed the card, you got the card. One caveat to that, I did run into a situation on the last auction that I ran where someone had claimed some cards. He claimed maybe, I think it was around $1.50, $2 in cards, but it was 4 cards that he claimed. I think they were like 40 cents a piece. He might have claimed like 5. So I had to charge him $6.50 for bubble mailer with tracking. As soon as you buy more than 3 cards, I do have to ship those in a bubble mailer because of the thickness of the package. I can't ship them in a plain white envelope because the thickness is too much, and I do get upcharged for that to $5 or $5.50 for shipping on a plain white envelope, and that generally doesn't work. So if you buy 3 cards or less, it is $2 for shipping in a plain white envelope. If you buy more than 3 cards, then it will be $6.50 for a bubble mailer with tracking. Let's get into these 1983 Topps cards. As I mentioned, all of these first stack is going to be for 50 cents a piece. Let's go through them. We do have a lot of cards to go through, so we'll try and get through them as quickly as we can. First up is the 1982 batting and pitchers leaders for the Chicago Cubs. Leon Bull Durham was a first baseman for the Cubs in the early to mid 80s, and he was a great first baseman, good power hitter, and was a tremendous player. Again, one of those Hall of Very Good guys. He didn't have the longevity enough to make it to the Hall of Fame, but when he was healthy, he was a great first baseman. And of course, Fergie Jenkins is in fact a Hall of Famer, and is a great Hall of Famer at that. I will say on this card, the centering on this card, the top to bottom, is not that great. Probably 95-5. Left to right is pretty good, pretty close to 50-50. There is a slight flaw on the edge on the left-hand side. The corners are in pretty good condition, so I did have it marked at 50 cents just because of the centering issue top to bottom. Next up, we have Carl Yastrzemski card. Again, you can see the centering issue left to right. Pretty cool card of him in 1983 and him when he was a rookie. Doesn't look like the same guy from 1961. The centering top to bottom actually isn't too bad. There isn't any flaws on the back of the card other than the centering issue left to right. But 50 cents for a Carl Yastrzemski card. He was a great player for a long time and an excellent Hall of Famer. Here's a super veteran card again of Fergie Jenkins, 1965 and 1983. You can kind of see the similarities in the mouth and in that area, but otherwise looks like a completely different dude. This centering isn't too bad. It's just that the super veteran cards aren't quite the same value as, let's say, the base card of Fergie Jenkins. Top to bottom is in good shape, and left to right is in good shape as well. Next up, we got the 1982 leading fireman, Dan Quisenberry, another guy that was Hall of Very Good, was a great relief pitcher for the Kansas City Royals, and Bruce Sutter, who is a Hall of Famer. The centering on this card is actually pretty solid, both left to right and top to bottom. I'd put it 60-40 at worst. The back of the card is in pretty good condition, so this is a really nice card for 50 cents. Another card, the same card, I'm selling for 50 cents as well. Same type of condition. And the aforementioned Bruce Sutter, this is his base card. Centering on this card is pretty decent. The reason why I've got this in the 50 cent stack is that it does have a little bit of a gum issue. I do have to take a dryer sheet to that and get that taken care of. But other than that, he is a pitcher and he was a relief pitcher, a great relief pitcher. But generally, pitchers aren't quite as desirable and don't sell as well as, let's say, a regular everyday player. So that is the Bruce Sutter card for 50 cents. Steve Carlton, another legendary pitcher in the game. Won more than 300 games. Was a great pitcher for many teams. He did pitch actually for my Twins for, I think, 2 seasons. Centering off in this card, as you can see, is an issue left to right. Top to bottom isn't that bad. The back of the card is in good shape. But on a good Hall of Famer for 50 cents. Jack Morris, another great pitcher, was probably the most dominant pitcher in the 80s. He did win a World Series with my Minnesota Twins. Didn't win one with Detroit, but he was a dominant pitcher for Detroit throughout the 80s. Left to right, I'd probably call that 70-30, maybe 80-20. Top to bottom is more 70-30. The back of the card is in really good condition, so that is Hall of Famer Jack Morris. Another Hall of Famer, Ted Simmons, catcher, 1968 versus 1983 on the super veteran. Top to bottom and left to right is in pretty good condition, but I do have this in the 50 cent stack because it is a super veteran card as opposed to a base card. Rollie Fingers, pretty good Hall of Famer, another pitcher Hall of Famer. Left to right, I'd probably call that 80-20. Top to bottom is pretty decent. Again, no creases on the card at all. He was a great relief pitcher for a long time. Didn't have that many wins, but he did have over 300 saves in his career. So I have him in the 50 cent bin. Phil Niekro, Phil and brother Joe. He pitched for a long time. He was known as a knuckleballer. He most prominently was known as the Braves. He did actually pitch again with my twin. No, he didn't pitch with the Twins. His brother Joe did. The famous Emery board scene in the 1987 season with Joe Niekro. But anyways, 50 cents on the Phil Niekro card. Left to right, again, is in pretty decent shape. I'd probably call it 70-30. Top to bottom is more or less 80-20. Rodney Carew, 1967 versus 1983. Was a rookie in 1967. I do have his rookie card. Anyways, left to right, 80-20, top to bottom, probably 70-30. The back of the card is in good condition other than the centering issue. But a good Hall of Famer, more than 3,000 hits, and 50 cents on that card. Another super veteran card of Joe Morgan. Again, left to right, I would call this 80-20. Top to bottom is the same 80-20. The back is in good condition other than the centering issue. So that is the Joe Morgan. Next up, we got Don Sutton. Another great pitcher for a very long time. 80-20, maybe? Let's say 85-15 on the left to right. Top to bottom is 50-50. Pretty good on top to bottom. But again, he is a pitcher, so not quite as desirable. But he was a great pitcher for a long time. And that is the Don Sutton card. Ozzie Smith, the Wizard Ozzie Smith, known for his backflips at shortstop, was a great shortstop, dominant shortstop in the 70s and 80s, or pretty much from, let's say, 75 maybe, or 78. Pretty much a dominant. Next up is Ozzie Smith, a dominant shortstop, the Wizard Ozzie Smith. Rookie card in 1978. He was a dominant shortstop in the 80s for sure. Had a great speed, had a tremendous amount of stolen bases, but was a great player for the Cardinals for pretty much his entire career. Left to right, I'd probably call that 70-30. Top to bottom is probably about the same. So that is the Ozzie Smith card. Next up, we got Jim Kitty Kaat. Centering is not great. I'd probably call that 95-5. Top to bottom, I'd probably say, let's say 90-10. Not a very good centered card at all. Had a long career. I think he won actually 17 Golden Gloves. He was an amazing fielding pitcher, and that's primarily what he's known for, but he was a great pitcher for a long time. Came up with my Twins, I think in 62. Let me see the back. Oh my gosh, I was wrong. With the Senators in 1959, before they moved to Minnesota in 1961. I do think I have his 62 card. Anyways, that is Jim Kaat. I think he pitched until, 84? So he did pitch almost, 25 years. An amazing career for Mr. Kaat, and definitely Hall of Fame worthy. Next up, we got Tom Seaver on the Super Veteran card. Nice Super Veteran of Tom Seaver. Good card, left to right, top to bottom is in really good shape. Probably 50-50 on both. Corners are in really good shape. I know I haven't talked very much about corners, but overall on all these cards, the corners are in pretty decent shape. If there's a flaw in the corners, I'll let you guys know. This card of Rich Gossage, Goose Gossage, does have a slight flaw in the upper border of the card. Left to right on this card is 90-10, and top to bottom is probably 60-40. The back of the card is in good shape, but again, selling it at 50 cents, it does have, again, that flaw in the upper right-hand corner. Dusty Baker, probably going to make the Hall of Fame as a manager, even though he was a terrific player, mostly for the Los Angeles Dodgers for many years. Left to right on this card, I'd probably call it 70-30. Top to bottom is going to be about the same. That is the Dusty Baker card. Pretty good condition on the back. And again, the corners are in pretty solid shape. There is a slight flaw in the bottom left-hand corner there. Steve Carlton base card. We did see a Super Veteran early, but this is his base card. Centering left to right, I'd probably call that 90-10. Top to bottom is going to be 70-30. The back is in good condition. The corners are in really good shape. So 50 cents on that card. And the last of the 50 cent pile is this Rodney Carew card. Just because the centering is off a little bit, does have a slight issue in the upper right hand corner that you can see there. But a good card for 50 cents on the Rodney Carew card. The centering on the back is going to be off too, obviously, on the top to bottom. So that is it for the 50 cent cards. Let's get into the 75 cent cards. So these cards are going to be slightly better condition, probably more prominent players than what the 50 cent stacks was. I don't think that there is any non-Hall of Famers in here. I pretty much think that all these are going to be Hall of Famers. So let's get into the 50 or 75 cent cards. First up is Tom Seaver base card. You can see the centering on this card is pretty solid left to right, slightly off top to bottom. I'd probably call that 80-20 top to bottom. Corners are in really good shape, and the back is in good condition as well. So this card at 75 cents. Again, another Tom Seaver, same situation. Better centering top to bottom and left to right. I'd probably call that 60-40 left to right, pretty much 50-50 top to bottom. The back is in really good condition, and the corners are in really good shape as well. Really nice card there for 75 cents. Don Sutton, you see the centering is off left to right. I'd probably call that 80-20. Top to bottom is 60-40. The back is in really nice shape. 75 cents on that card. Another Seaver, I didn't know. I thought I put them all together. Didn't know I had another Seaver in here, but it's pretty much the same as the other one. The only reason why I have this in the 75 cent stack rather than the dollar stack is because of this flaw in the bottom of the corner next to his picture. The centering on the card is pretty good, both top to bottom and left to right, and the back is in really good condition. The corners are nice and sharp on this card. A nice card for 75 cents. Gaylord Perry. The centering on this card is 60-40 left to right. Top to bottom is pretty much 50-50. The back of the card is in really nice shape. A great pitcher was Gaylord Perry. Nice card for 75 cents. We did see this card earlier, but I do have this in the 75 cent stack rather than the 50 cent stack because of the condition of the card is a little bit better as far as the cut of the card. Left to right is 60-40, top to bottom is basically the same. I'm not going to review the card because you guys did see it earlier. The back is obviously a little bit off on the left to right. That is the batting and pitching leaders card for the Chicago Cubs. The Super Veteran card of Pete Rose. The centering on this card is 70-30 left to right. Top to bottom is 80-20. The back of the card is in good condition and the corners are in nice shape. 1963 being Pete Rose's rookie year, and this is his 1983 photo when he was with the Phillies before he went back to the Reds. That is the Pete Rose card. Next up, we got two Hall of Famers stolen base leaders. One is Ricky Henderson and Tim Rock Raines. Really nice card of these two guys. Centering left to right and top to bottom is in really decent shape. There is a slight flaw in the middle of the card. You can see it right there. But other than that, it is a really nice card of two Hall of Famers, as I mentioned earlier. 75 cents on that card. Another Super Veteran card of Pete Rose, pretty much the same as the other one. Centering on the card is a little bit better than the card earlier, and the corners are nice and sharp. There is a very slight flaw in the upper left-hand corner there. Probably call most of these cards an excellent plus condition for sure. Rodney Carreau on the Super Veteran card. Centering is going to be off 80-20 left to right. Top to bottom is probably 70-30 or 70-30. And again, you can see the back of the card is off on the top to bottom. Nice 75 cent card there of Rodney Carreau. Joe Morgan on the Super Veteran card from 1963 and 1983. 63 was a great year for rookies. Not only did you have Joe Morgan and Pete Rose, but he also had Tony Oliva in the 63 set. Centering on this card is 70-30, left to right, top to bottom is 50-50 on this card. Nice corners on this card. Definitely an excellent plus to near to mint condition for 75 cents. The All-Star Game Gary Carter card, top to bottom and left to right is pretty much 50-50 right on the nose. Nice condition on the corners of the card. There is a slight flaw in the middle of the back of the card there. You can see a slight stain of some sort. Not sure what that is, but still a good card for 75 cents. Jim Rice, pretty decent card. Top to bottom is centered pretty well. Left to right is centered pretty well too, probably 70-30. Corners are in really nice shape on the card. And the surface is pretty good as well. The back is in good shape other than the top to bottom is going to be off, let's say 80-20. Top to bottom, or left to right, sorry, is in pretty good shape. Nice 75-cent card there. Super Veteran card of Rollie Fingers. Left to right, 80-20. Top to bottom is 50-50. Back is in good shape, and the corners are in nice shape. The last of the 75 centers is going to be Dave Winfield, another Minnesota boy. Left to right is 60-40. Top to bottom is 75-25. The back is in good condition, and the corners are in really nice shape, other than there is a flaw in the upper left-hand corner there. So that's why this card is at 75 cents. Alrighty then, moving on. We'll try and get through these cards quickly. These cards are all going to be for $1, and there's about 10 of them here, so we'll get through them pretty quick. First up is Mike Schmidt on the All-Star card. Left to right, top to bottom is in really good shape. So a nice card for $1. There's no flaws on the corner at all. The back is in good condition. Good dollar card there. And all these cards are going to be in excellent plus to near mint to mint condition. You can see the Gary Carter here is pretty well centered, left to right and top to bottom. The back is in good condition. That is why this card is at $1. A really good Gary Carter card for that price. The Gary Carter All-Star card, similar to the one that we had earlier in the 75-cent stack. This card is in slightly better condition, so that's why this card is at $1. Centering left to right and top to bottom is pretty much on, and the back is in really good condition. That is why this card is at $1. Bruce Sutter, we saw him earlier in the 50-cent stack. I think we also saw him in the 75-cent stack. The centering is excellent compared to those other cards. Centering left to right and top to bottom is pretty much on the nose. A very nice Bruce Sutter card. The back is going to be slightly off on the top to bottom. Left to right, pretty close. I'd probably call that more or less 60-40 on the back. So still a really good card for $1 on the Bruce Sutter card. Joe Morgan, left to right, top to bottom. Left to right, I'd probably call that 60-40. Top to bottom is pretty much 50-50. The back of the card is in really good condition. An excellent Joe Morgan card for $1. Pete Rose, guy that should be in the Hall of Fame and probably will be after he passes away. Unfortunately, he won't be able to realize that dream while he is still alive. Centering on this card, left to right and top to bottom. The left to right is probably 60-40, top to bottom, I'd call it 80-20. The back of the card is in good condition. That is why this Pete Rose card is at $1. We got Reggie Jackson next on the All-Star card. Really nice centering on this card, left to right and top to bottom. I'm not going to ding it at all because I think it's pretty much centered right where it needs to be. The back of the card is in really good shape and the corners are in good shape other than a slight flaw in the upper left-hand corner. The other corners are pretty decent. I would call this card a solid, excellent plus condition. A step away from near mint to mint if it didn't have that flaw in the upper left-hand corner. But nonetheless, a good card for $1 on Reggie Jackson, an elite Hall of Famer. Gaylord Perry, we did see Gaylord in the 75-cent stack, but this card is a little bit nicer shape than that one is. Centering left to right is pretty much on the nose, top to bottom. I would call that 60-40. The corners are in really nice shape. The back is in good condition. That is the Gaylord Perry card. Still a really good deal for $1. We got 3 cards to go. This one is Rich Goose Gossage, a beautiful Gossage card. Centering is pretty much on the nose, and the corners are in really nice shape as well. And the back of the card is in good shape. So I would call this near mint to mint. It's the first call out of near mint to mint I've made tonight, but I think this card is very well deserving for $1. We got Reggie Jackson next on the base card. The centering on it left to right is pretty much 50-50. Top to bottom, I'd call that 80-20. The back is in good condition. So that is the Reggie Jackson card. A really nice Reggie Jackson for $1. The last card we got up is another Reggie Jackson card. pretty much the same condition as this one is. This one is a little bit more off-center, top to bottom, than what this one would be, but this card is better on the left to right. That is why I have this card at $1, an excellent price for a Reggie Jackson card. That is finally all I got for you guys tonight. Hit that like and subscribe. Throw some comments down in the comment section down below what you guys thought of this video, and also what you think of the 1983 set. I'm always interested in your guys' insight, and I would greatly appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Be safe and happy collecting.